I've been driving the Lamborghini more often lately, and these damn tips won't stop falling out. I'm gonna take this wing off, put some long ass screws right through the damn things, and that way they won't fall out. We're gonna put these long ass self tappers right through here, and I don't see any reason why this should be coming back out. These things shouldn't be going anywhere anymore, or at least they're not going to be pulling out. They're probably not the most centered anymore, and then also you can see the actual screw going through it if you look at it from the right angle. But I don't really care, as long as I don't lose any more like $40 tips, I'll be okay. Now that that's taken care of, we can go ahead and move on to doing the rest of the Cressida bumper. I made a trip to Harbor Freight, picked up some stuff, so we're gonna do some work on the Cressida, get that bumper shaved down to you know, a little bit past where we want it to be. That way when we put the fiberglass, it'll all be even and everything, so hopefully we'll start getting that done. This tire's leaking air again, so we're gonna have to address that as soon as possible before it debeads again, because it is pretty low. But we're gonna move this thing up, get the air line hooked up, fill that up, and then we can start DA sanding this, getting it to where we want it to be. I got the 40 grit on here. I haven't used the DA sander on the foam yet. I don't know how it's gonna work, but if anything, the 40 grit is gonna work best. That worked really well, but almost too well. There's so much like of this foam dust everywhere, and I don't know if you saw, but the disc actually fell off, and now like the adhesive is all like full of this dust, and I'm gonna have to try and clean that up somehow, and then I'll keep doing this. But it's definitely working out well. It's a little tricky. Besides the disc falling off a couple of times, this thing is doing super well. I'm pretty much done with the rear bumper. We should probably do a little bit more leveling before we do any fiberglassing. We gotta take a little bit away from the bottom, and then we gotta do the sides, but that's really not too much more to do. But I think we're gonna get some fiberglass on this thing today. I've got everything finished up, but I've also got in here, you can see that there's a constant gap pretty much all the way throughout. When we lift it up, it's nice and flat, so that way we can fiberglass all the way up into there and have it actually look nice and almost look like a factory bumper. I got my resin and my like 20-pound roll of fiberglass, one of the many that we have in our attic for some reason. But this is just the weave that I chose. We have different weaves, but I think this will be fine. This thing's a little clogged up. I have another one, but I'm just trying to use the rest of this one. I'm just mixing the hardener with the resin right now, then we'll tack it up a little bit, stick this on there, and then we'll drench it so that way the resin actually fills out the fiberglass. So usually I would soak this first and then apply it on whatever I'm you know, putting it on, but it's so big that I'm just gonna do, you know, like I said, tack it up, lay this on there, and then just soak it on here with the brush, and then that'll be plenty. You can see I overlapped it a little bit, so that way we can trim this down and get it perfect. That way it's actually attached to the body a little bit. This worked out really well. I'm really pleased. I tacked this up a little bit. I'm gonna have to cut out a lot more sheets. I kind of did a really big one here. I figured, you know, there's no real way to mess this up. But here, I'm probably gonna start doing a little bit smaller pieces and just patching them up here. Hopefully we can all get it even. And it will be body worked and sanded down, and then, you know, Bondo and all that later. But for now, I just want to get this all patched up with fiberglass and actually get it pretty solid. I am not sure if I'm gonna put multiple layers. I don't know if one layer of fiberglass will be strong enough. The thing is, if I didn't have the foam backing, it definitely wouldn't be strong enough. It would flex way too much for my preferences. Though this is pretty stiff, so with having this extra structure, I'm not sure that I'm gonna put any more than a single layer. We're gonna be taking my actual can, not my father's can of fiberglass resin. It should be a little bit better, not quite as clogged up. Hopefully. Just gonna get this a little tacky, that way it'll stick. Kind of just put it all over. Doesn't really matter. I'll always be able to sand it off if I put it in places that I don't really want it. One down already. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I don't really want to overlap it too much. I'll do the other side. It's looking so good right now. I've got a lot done so far, but I still need to do all of that bottom and then the sides. I have some people here right now to go shoot, so that's gonna be it for today. I'll get the rest of this done another day, probably tomorrow-ish, who knows. But that's gonna be it for today. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out.
Oh my god.